I have actually two questions for you. One is, how did it feel to work with the cast and crew of Star Trek The Next Generation?
Oh, I thought you said you had two questions.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you mean the cast and crew? That was two questions. One the cast, two the crew. It was a wonderful experience. Wonderful. They became and still are, every single one of them, my very dearest and closest friends, and I am never happier than when I'm in their company. It's as simple as that.
Would you do it again? If you had a chance?
Would I do it again?
As an admiral?
Captain is good enough for me. I'll settle for that. Anyway, what would people yell out? You know, I'm in New York at the moment, living there, and it's just great. I love it in New York. You know, you walk past a construction site or something, and people yell out, "Hey, Captain, how you doing?" I like it. But, hey, Admiral! It's not the same, is it? No, I mean, you know, that's a fantasy thought of yours. There won't be any next generation. Why? Well, you know, everything has its time, doesn't it? And you move on, and Star Trek has moved on magnificently with this new cast. What JJ is doing, what he did with the first film and what I'm sure he'll do with the others is outstanding. So, no, we're all of us incredibly proud to be part of this great epic tradition which has become Star Trek. There's nothing like it in the history of entertainment, of show business. There's never been anything that has had a life like this, so I'm just very happy to have been part of it for a while. Thank you. Yes.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the wonderful roles you've done in the past, especially in the Shakespearean era. I'm just curious, are you doing any, or do you have any plans for like any large productions of any Shakespeare's plays in the future?
I don't have any plans for any Shakespeare. I mean, I have a list this long of things I want to do, but at the moment there is nothing on that list that's planned. I do have theatre plans for the late summer and autumn in New York, and I can't tell you what they are, but I can tell you, you will hear about it, because it's a very, very big and exciting. I don't mean big in the sense of scale, you know, it's not like Spider-Man or anything. On the contrary, it's quite small scale, but what it is going to attract a lot of attention. So that'll be in about 15, 16 months' time. Between now and then, I am focusing exclusively on film and television, which I haven't done for 8 years, apart from the Hamlet and the Macbeth movies. So, yeah, that's and extras. That was the only thing, bit of filming that I've done. I've seen everything.
You have an opportunity. Who is your favorite villain? Who is your favorite villain? And it's an opportunity to really think through this answer.
This guy here knows, ladies and gentlemen, John Lancie. There is a little story behind the question John was just asked, because when we were in Calgary a few weeks ago for the 25th reunion of Next Generation, and we were all there, the 9 original cast members, and then someone in the audience asked that question, who was my favorite villain, and I thought for a long time, then I said, well, you know, there was a Ferengi, and not realizing that it was a setup to bring John onto the stage. So he gave me a chance this time to correct myself. Of course it was Q! Are you happy on your feet?
There we go. Yeah, now I'm happy on my feet. I've been sitting for yes, that was rather amusing.
It was embarrassing. I mean, at my age, I'd drop a cue of that kind. But the thing is, none of us knew John was there. Oh yes, and that was funny too. I really shouldn't do that out without
Should we continue answering questions?
Let's do that. Yeah, I think we were over this side now.
Oh, you know what? I jumped in front of this man over here, and he should have his question.
Oh, that's all right. That was a pretty welcome surprise.
He asked me for an autograph within a millisecond of that.
I tried to get the words out. It was a little hard. A little starstruck. I'm sorry. My name is Robbie, and may I just say it's an honor and a privilege to be able to get the opportunity to talk to both you, Sir Patrick Stewart, and John Lancie, also known as Q or Agent Dark Movie. I'm sorry, I do know that one. Anyway, my question for both of you is, also I have a request for later. What are your thoughts on Gene Roddenberry's idea of the future that Star Trek was put in and set?
I didn't fully understand the last remark.
What were his thoughts about, what are our thoughts about his notion of the future?
Yes, his notion of a better future for mankind.
John?
I think it's the seminal idea of Star Trek, that the world will be better. And I think it's probably one of the reasons why the show was as popular as it was in the beginning, and certainly why it has continued, and probably why we really need it now.
Yes. Sir Patrick?
Oh, here.
How about a scotch?
I wouldn't mind one right about now.
I know it's heading that way. I'll tell you, I'd like to tell this little anecdote about a letter I received towards the end of the series, and it was for me the most potent communication I ever had from a fan, and it came from a police sergeant in the Las Vegas Police Department. And it was quite a long letter, and he told me quite a lot about his life and work and so forth. And he said that there are days, however, he comes home and he's close to despair with the aspects of mankind, the selfishness, the greed, the brutality, the murderousness that he has had to witness. And when he feels like that, there is only one antidote, he said, that is, he goes to a shelf and he takes down a DVD of Star Trek The Next Generation. And it assures him that, indeed, things will be better. And I agree with John. I think that was the very core and heart and potency of what we did.
I just wanted to ask that question because Star Trek I grew up watching Star Trek, mainly The Next Generation. My dad would watch it in syndication and watch it as a kid. It has inspired me to become an engineer to try to make some of the technology in Star Trek come to life here.
There are two things that you said in that, which we all know, and I think is worth saying again. When your dad and you watch the show, I can't tell you how many people come up to us and say, my grandfather, my father, and I, it was a family show that everybody was able to watch at different levels of appreciation and comprehension. And the other thing is that I had a man walk up to me in an airport and he said, oh, you have given me so many years of entertainment. And if you ever want to see the real thing, and he handed me his card, and he was the launch director for the missile launch director for the Annenberg Air Force Base. And that was his entry. Star Trek, what Gene did was his entry. He created a tent, and that tent became larger and larger, and it brought in, obviously, people who enjoyed the show, but then people who enjoyed science, and fiction, and history, and computers, and costumes, and movies, and it just became, and has become, this enormous tent, for which we all gather, under which we all gather.
Before I move on to the next person to let them ask a question.
Yeah, shut up!
I made a promise that I have to keep to one of my best friends back home. He couldn't make it up here. He wanted me to at least ask you, could you give the command to go to warp speed?
Hold on to your seats.
Did I ever say that?